This is in 1968. We got a movie camera from my sister Ann, and these are our first home movies. Here's Lisa in her snowsuit. When we moved into this home, there were 3 trees on the front lawn, and I cut them down. So we have these stumps on the front lawn. As you'll see, Lisa is going to get acquainted with these stumps. Lisa has a rocking horse that she enjoys, as you can see. I want you to notice the easy way she dismounts. Watch your right knee when she comes off. We irrigated our lawn from a back ditch, and most of the year it didn't have water in it. So it's sort of a Here again comes a smiley face. Here's Laurie. And in the corral behind, you'll see her second colt, which we named Pungyo. In Chinese, that means friend. We found out when he was about a year old, we couldn't keep him in wire fences any longer. We had to build a corral for him because we kept him as a stallion. These are some of our horses, our first horses, Morgan's. That was Frosty and Shelley. Shelley was a year younger than Laurie. Now, here we are on our front lawn, our dry farm lawn, and you can see there are 2 candles. She's getting practice blowing them out. Lisa loved her wading pool. Willis was born on the 10th of August. We made a trip to Idaho Falls, and this is the first time that Grandpa and Grandma Knapp were able to see him. Obviously, he's grown a bit. Another season has gone by. There's Laurie and another colt. Here we have another smiley face as it comes into focus. You'll see Justin. There's Lisa on our porch. Lisa loved to be a jumping jack. She'll be joined here by Willis, venturing out. We poured a cement driveway between our driveway and the front porch of our house. So this was a favorite place for the kids to be able to play. We picked up this fire engine at a garage sale or someplace, and the kids are having fun. Here's some colts again. 2 of these were sired by Pungyo. The other one is his full brother. The kids loved the snow. Sitting on a sleigh. There's the jumping jack again. There's a snowman. Looks like they're still having trouble over who's going to wear which mittens. Here's Justin getting acquainted with wheels. He had a big interest in wheels from a young age, as you can see. Looks like he's going to need a push. There's Laurie and some of the colts. Sheila came to ride the colts this year, and she's riding Captain. He is one of the smoothest natural gaited horses that we raised. He was sired by Pungyo, and Xiaomei was his dam. He had a natural pace, and sometimes he'd just stay with the same rhythm and go into a slow gallop. But if you watch the rider, she hardly moves up and down in the saddle. Before this year ended, we sold Captain to a doctor or a dentist from California. He also bought Glory Bee. He also bought Jingo, the full brother of Pungyo. And he bought a horse from Warren and hauled 4 horses to California. He bought Glory Bee. That was, at this time, Laurie's youngest colt. Here's Pungyo exercising. I used to make him exercise around the corral. I'd get him to go one way a while and turn and go back around the other way. Instead of using a lunge line, I just got out there with the buggy whip and snapped the whip, and he'd run around. He had beautiful action, as you can see, and in a moment, when the picture brightens, you get a better view of him. He's really a pretty horse. We gave this in the fall. Actually, it was in the summer. We gave this horse. There's Willis. Now Justin looks happier. He's jumping too. This is our first picture of Sean. Here's the kids with the swing set. One of their favorite things, playing on this cement pad and playing with the swing set. My sister Ann came to visit us. She'd been in Las Vegas, and she used up that roll of film, or that reel of film, to take pictures of our place and our horses. There's Laurie by our gate, one of the other horses in the pasture below. Here's Scamper, who was sired by Warren's stallion King from Laurie, and the youngest one, Glory B, is standing next to her. That's Glory B. And now Pungyo again going around the corral, showing off his action. He was a pretty horse. Had smooth, nice action. After Sheila had spent all that time riding our other horses, I gave him to her on the condition that we have him gelded first. I didn't think she should be fooling around with a stallion. I guess that's because I grew up the way I did. My dad didn't think women had any business fooling around with stallions. And she wouldn't have had a place to keep a stallion. He'd have got cut in wire fences in Idaho. After she had ridden him this summer, he was as fine a saddle horse as you'd ever ride. It's just a thrill to get on him and ride him. When you sat on his back and looked out over the top line in his ears, it was a beautiful sight. I should have taken a picture from that angle sometime. He had a beautiful, beautiful head and ears. Here he is again. This is the reel that Ann filmed while they visited us. I could call him up to me. I'd have him exercise and run around, then I could call him up to me. There's his full brother with the wide strip, and the other two, Captain and Ace, are his colts. He sired those two. Slim and Ann had two friends with them. There's Bob and Sheila, Bob Young. There they're moving around in the pasture. And there's Pungyo looking out over his domain, which was our 6 acres. This is our cherry orchard. Colts spend a lot of time playing together when they have that chance. Justin and Willis getting ready to say goodbye to Ann and Slim as they head for Boise. This is Glory B. Going to lead her around a little bit and show her smooth action. All of Laurie's colts seem to have a nice smooth action. We sold her this year as a yearling, so we don't know how she turned out as a saddle horse. When the kids were big enough to leave the chain-linked lawn, then our driveway became the next favorite place to play. You can see Captain has a smooth gait. It's a pace. You notice his back hardly moves. But now, if you're riding now, going downhill, it would be rough. This is Louise giving Justin a ride on Laurie. Notice her smooth gait. Smooth and fast. Now Willis is riding behind. Alice is having a turn. She's coming down the lane. Notice a smooth gallop. Again, Justin's riding behind. And now notice Sean is riding on the front. Sean brought his bottle along. He's got his beverage with him. Kids are eating watermelon by our back shed. Now this is a birthday party. This is Willis's 5th birthday, and they're up the canyon at Canyon Glen, a park in Provo Canyon, where it's cooler.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday.
Willis blowing out the candles.
Happy birthday to you.
Here comes Willis running up the lane at the park.
Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday to you.
He looks tired. His birthday is attended by some of his friends, the Wagners, and some of our next door neighbors, some of Mother's friends, kids, Harris's, maybe a Chapman or two. Now this is a birthday for Lisa. This will be at least 1 year later, maybe 2 years later. And as we irrigated, when the ditch didn't work, we used a pipe and piped water onto the lawn. Sean's getting used to playing in the mud that comes from that type of irrigation. There's poor Lisa. She was swinging in the tire swing and the rope broke. She landed. As you can see, it wasn't any fun. And I guess she didn't have enough padding. But look at that. She's going to try to do it again. This is a Sunday. Everyone's dressed up in their Sunday best. We just came home from church. And now Sean is running around. You can see that Louise is expecting, and Lisa is really hoping that's going to get a sister this time. After Sean was born, she's tired of having so many brothers. Again, this is a favorite place to play. One of the stumps we cut down had new shoots grow up. Sean's getting used to the jack-in-the-box. I'm putting there's the ditch covered over with, part of it covered over with lumber. The South sent a semi-load of chunks of urethane down to us, and I got a corn chopper from a friend at school, Bill White, and we ran the chunks of foam through the chopper, and it blew it up through the top, and we fastened to a stovepipe and put it into the attic of the house for insulation. The kids are helping here to break it up. Here you can see putting it into the chopper with the fan or blower that blows it up through the pipe into the attic. Sean in his high chair in our kitchen. One of my favorite shots of Sean is right there, where he grits his teeth and just shakes his whole face and body. After we insulated the attic, we also had Souths send a crew and sprayed polyurethane insulation on the outside of the house. This sealed all the cracks. Any of the bugs and flies inside couldn't get out, and they couldn't go through from the outside like they used to do. Now Sean's big enough to join the others in playing in the snow. We got 2 Scotch Highland cows, and they each had calves. One was brindle, the other one was blonde. The kids called them Longhorn Shaggy Moo and Longhorn Hippie Moo. They were interesting cattle. You didn't have to worry about trespassers in your pasture when they were turned down in the pasture. Now here's Joseph. Our first pictures of Joseph. Lisa and Justin on Laurie. Sean running down the lane. Willis this time with Sean having a ride. Back to their favorite swing set. One of the favorite pastimes. These belong to our neighbor, Perry. There was a landslide on the hill above that came down and took out their pasture fence, covered up our road for several days with mud and dirt until the county could come out and reopen the road. So we kept them in our cherry orchard for a couple of weeks. Again, our lawn served as a mud bath. It's interesting what a slivery ride this must be. Seems like kids have as much fun sometimes with the toys they imagine from what's around as the ones you buy at the store. Just a little too heavy. Joseph looks a little apprehensive. Perhaps he feels he might get dumped. It's interesting to see. Here's Ruth. This is the first pictures of Ruth. Sean may be about as happy about Ruth as Lisa is. There's Joseph. Scott Kelly Price is a good artist. I met him through my sister Marjorie. He gave me a few critiques on some of my own painting. He went to the National Guard camp for a few weeks in the summer, left his horse in our pasture. One day he and his brother came out and practiced roping. This is what they're doing now. Clark, in my opinion, is one of the best artists I've seen. When he puts a cowboy on a horse, he fits. He blends right in just like he's part of the horse. A lot of artists don't understand how to do that. And he has excellent paintings of horses. Here's our neighbor Mariotti. He was about 97 years old. He lived to be 100. And here's Ruth. Our driveway was the playground outside of our front lawn. A little more room there to play ball and do things, running games and riding bicycles. It doesn't take a very high hill to be a mountain when you're that size. We're butchering one of our Highlander heifers. Some of the neighbors, the Faulkner kids, came over, some of them, to watch. If Lisa looks slanty-eyed, it's because both of her parents lived in China. Willis and Justin each had a hatchet. Here's Sean playing with things the kids acquired when you live on an old farm. Has a sudden stop. Our driveway had enough slope so the kids could have real fun riding down the slope. These trees are growing out of the stump. This is a family reunion in Idaho. This was the year that Jess was born. There's Anders, kids, Knapps and Anderses, Wintertons. There's Grandpa Andrus. There's Bob Young. There's John Andrus with Grandpa going back for another bale of straw. And here's Ruth on the Grandpa's front steps. When they lived here, they called it the Benson place. It was along the Portneuf River. There's Doug and Ken. Joseph. Sean pretty unhappy, his cup must have tipped over. There's Nola May and Doug and Ken again. Back at home, Ruth's getting a bike ride with Willis. Laurie and another colt. There's a stagecoach that belonged to the neighbor that had the donkey. Justin's getting some practice here teaching the colt to lead. This is probably Zingo, the last colt that Laurie had. Here's Joseph getting used to his first Volkswagen. He loved the love bug. Since the children are all dressed up in their Sunday best, again it must be a Sunday afternoon, having come home from church. And there's Jess. All three of them in their pajamas in our driveway. Jumping Jack again. He's always crawling toward the camera. I wonder who's holding the carrot out. Now again we're at Grandpa and Grandma Anders's in Lava. Another year, another reunion. There's the Winterton, some of them. Paul Andrus. Some more Wintertons. There's Jess. Nice matching socks. There's Edith, Grandma. Harold, Marcy. Warren. You notice the Knapps aren't shy of the camera. I guess Anita didn't want her picture on for posterity to see. Margie. There's Jim. Brian and Becky. Craig. Harold getting out of the camera. Grandpa Andrus. And Stephen Winterton. The twins. There's Marcy. Ed Young. Can't take the camera. There's Nicole. Kim's oldest. More Wintertons. Winterton sisters. There's Tanya. She's not afraid to look in the camera. Nola May. She's up to something. She's gonna flip the jello. Now she's going to get it. Must be her birthday. It's what you call a spat machine. Willis and Jay. Ken. Brian. Some of more Andresses. John. Dan. There's Marie. Marie acts like she doesn't know what to think of all of these city cousins invading her. Nobody looks familiar. Now, there's something familiar. She's got something to smile about. Everybody's dressed up except Joseph, still in his PJs. Tanya. Jess. Time to say goodbye to the reunion visitors. Now we're down to the Andrus farm. And there comes Willis on Frosty. This Shetland Frosty was given to us by a friend of mine, Cheryl James. Now they're going to take turns here. Justin's turn if he can just get on. There he goes. Back in Provo. Ed Young's here playing with the kids this day. All these milk cartons with water in for a barricade. Pile them up and the next one's turn. It's one way to water a lawn that doesn't have any irrigation water. Must be a warm day. This is enjoying cooling off with it. Willis, his turn. Here comes Justin. When the coating started coming off the insulation of the house, Sean called it the Yugly house. Now we're in a double-wide trailer. Ruth was born in January that year. '79. We lived in Taylor, just east of Shelley. Near there were sand dunes. We spent some time at the sand dunes with the kids. They all loved the sand dunes. There's Ruth. Joseph managed to stay up for a ways. The tumbling tumbleweeds. Sean. Lisa. Ruth. And Jess is trying it. In our trailer, Kathy starting to walk here. There's Nola May, it looks like. Shooting inside the house, we didn't have a lot of light. And here's Tim. That means it's after March 29th, 1980. Kathy's learning to walk better, steadier. Kids love the irrigation water. Some neighbor boys. Tough world. There's Joseph. Joseph could stand on his head for a long, long time. Now he's going to wind up Tim here. There he goes. Now we're at 640 South in Provo after moving back. After 2 years in Idaho. There's Edith. In our backyard, the kids played fox and geese. We had a nice backyard. It was separated into two parts, one for a garden spot, the other's lawn. Had a 2-story playhouse that the kids really loved. Now, the street in front of our house was sloped on a hill, so the kids took advantage of that in riding trikes, skates, bicycles. Here's Sean. Willis. Justin giving Jess a ride. And Ruth. Justin doing wheelies. Ruth on her little bike, trike. Willis. Jess loved to sprint. No brakes. He loved me not. He loves me. Tim getting used to the feel of grass on his bottoms of his feet. Ruth and Kathy. All had to take their turns on stilts. Look at Jeff sprinting again. Here's Sean playing the monster. Here comes Tim. Joseph mowing Sister Smith's lawn. She lived across the street from us. Whoops! The boys got their BMX bikes when they moved here. They started racing at a BMX track. Stopped the camera in time on that one. Some of the cute things the kids did when they're that age. Sean's having his turn to perform. Willis and his jump. East of our place, The kids love to go up in the foothills and ride their bikes on some trails there. And slide down. There goes Jess. Justin. Ruth. Willis. It's a little out of focus. The kids are throwing, Sean's the biggest one, I think, throwing clods and dirt down off the hillside. Here comes Ruth again. This is Willis after the 50-20, 50 miles in 20 hours. He and one other boy from our ward made the full trip in the time limit. This is at Kim's up in Lava. He had a trampoline in his yard. There's their Uncle Jim. He's gonna show what he can do. This is the bike track in Provo. This is where the kids raced on their BMX bikes. Willis went over some of the jumps. Justin. There's Willis. Kathy and Tim. There's Joseph. Sean. Watch Joseph pedal hard. Kids love to play in the mud. Now we're back up in the foothills. Over the Tim and Kathy in costume. This is a roller skating park, and they've made it into a place for skateboards and bike jumping. That's Park Roche in Springville. This is on 640 South, Justin. Doing these wheelies. Getting ready for the 4th of July parade. Here they're jumping on piles of dirt at the Provo school. The year we moved to 640 South, Willis started 7th grade at Fair Junior High. Justin was in 6th grade at the Provo school. Now it's winter time. Willis loving to dive into the snow. The two wigs. More bicycle tricks. Both of these boys left on their missions from this ward. This is another reunion in Lava at the church, the new church. So you see the Wintertons and some of the others. Louise and Lisa practicing dancing here. Sean and cousins. Some of Clinton's boys. Nola Mae, Justin, Jay, Luana, Misty, playing water balloon ball, I guess. Norman and Diet and some of their grandchildren. A bunch of cousins. Brandon, Clint's boy, jumping into the back of a truck loaded with grain. Sean fell off. There's Milo jumping. There's Jim in the orange shirt showing us his tricks